My name is Vasil. I'm originally from Bulgaria, and I came to the States in long time now, 2004, to study at Drexel University. It's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and my undergraduate degree is in business administration with a concentration in accounting and finance. Currently, I'm a graduate student at University of Washington's Foster School of Business, and my concentration is in finance. So, Drexel University, well, first I did a lot of research as I was applying for different universities. One, seeing both what are their strengths and weaknesses in terms of what is the academic program known for, and two, in terms of financial aid offered, because that was a big factor for me as an international student coming from Bulgaria, where my family doesn't have the same income levels as an average family in America. Drexel turned out to be the choice because the math worked, the combination between the scholarship they offered me and the salary I would earn while being an intern there. Just the numbers added up, and it was a good school. It was in a big city, which is one thing I was looking for. Other reasons for Drexel was really the co-op program. As I said, their undergraduate is basically structured in a way that after your first year you have 6 months of co-ops. It's basically a paid internship, and 6 months of studies. Your undergraduate takes 5 years to complete instead of 4. However, you do graduate with a year and a half of experience. Most of the students end up working for companies they intern with, and it's that much easier to find a job just because you graduate with a year and a half of experience. And I think arguably you learn a lot more on those internships than just in the classroom. I mean, the theory in the classroom is fine and dandy, but until you've actually worked in an area of interest, you don't really know what exactly you're getting yourself into. And that's the third reason I didn't want to spend 4 years pursuing a degree thinking, oh, that's what I want to do when I graduate, never trying it out, then graduating and finding out that I really hate this. So that was one great thing through those co-ops, is just seeing what I liked, what I disliked, and being able to tailor my education in that area. So these were the main reasons for Drexel. UW had those connections that I was looking for from my graduate school, in that I wanted to work in the technology and bio or healthcare sectors, and UW has strong connections with such companies in this region, which I think is vital for an MBA. It's different in that, let's say if you're going for a PhD, you might be looking for other factors, but this is what was important to me. A U.S. school? Well, because the U.S. higher education system is, I believe, it's outstanding. In the U.S., I really like the idea of basically customizing your own education, and the fact that one institution just provides so many different paths, and it's so much easier to cross over from one to the other rather than, oh, I'm accepted in the engineering school, I don't have any other prospects. While with the US education system, it's really, and especially with the co-op system that I experienced, oh, I start off as an engineer, I have a co-op, I see that's not my passion, I can quickly switch to business or something else. So that was really the huge reason why I thought that it's arguably one of the best systems in the world. And, you know, I mean, the financial performance of the country and the companies from this country proves it, that it develops smart individuals who then go on to do great things. Financial aid, well, one thing as an international student that I quickly realized as I was researching applying to the States is that you're not eligible for federal financial aid. So that's one big thing to consider, because usually 90% of the information communicated on the school's websites is tailored towards that financial aid, which didn't really mean anything to me because I wasn't eligible for it. So then the big game was, okay, making a budget of, this is what my family can contribute. If I'm not eligible for financial aid and the tuition is X amount, how do I make up that difference? And that's where a little research online shows, okay, well, these are universities with higher propensity of giving scholarships to international students. These are universities that give scholarships to a lot of people, but a smaller amount. And then there's universities that, for example, give full rides if you attain certain results. So it's really, I think it's each individual's financial situation. They need to sit down and assess what are their finances and how can they make this work. But I mean, there is many ways, and I think that's one thing that needs to be stressed. Once you're in the education system, there's many ways, both through external scholarships, both through school scholarships, down the road, even if you have a U.S. cosigner, you can apply for a loan. I mean, where there isn't want, there is a way, I think. University of Washington, the MBA, I really love that you can customize almost all of it. That's big for me, because to me it signals that the school trusts the maturity of its students, in that we're not going to just put you on this one track and this is your destiny and these are the classes that you're taking. They really believe, okay, these are the essential classes that all of our students will take over 2 years, that we believe make them well-rounded business individuals, because that's the purpose of an MBA. And then after that, we give them free rein of really pursuing their education goals. And I love that. Not a lot of schools are doing this, but I think if the individual is motivated and knows what they want out of that MBA, I think they're better off finding such an institution that will give them this freedom. In Drexel University, it was 8 years ago. It was interesting. I was very jet lagged. The hour difference, it was, I think, 7 hours. 7 hours difference from Bulgaria. It took me, I mean, it's one thing when you lived 18 years of your life on one side of the Atlantic and now you move to the other. It took me probably a good 3 weeks to adjust fully. So these first weeks were a complete haze of, my body's telling me it's night, but I know it's day and I have to attend certain seminars. One good thing is that Drexel actually did a great job with, they had a separate international students orientation starting before the actual new students orientation, which they went over basics such as life in the U.S. This is what you would expect from U.S. higher institutions. There is a lot more freedom in that you have to be on top of registering for classes, paying your tuition, attending classes, seminars. It's not as cut and dry as, let's say, in Bulgaria. It might be, okay, you're paying us up front, we're taking care of everything else. There is a lot of responsibility on the individual. And yeah, it was a haze, and I remember the good experience of walking through these steps that reassured me in my choice, and in that, okay, I can handle this, I see what they want from me, and what are the next steps. I think that really helped alleviate any anxieties I might have had. The co-op program at Drexel, well, it's great. So they have different programs, but the one 80% of the students sign up is 5 years undergraduate. Basically, your first year is all full of classes. They're on a quarter system, so you have fall, winter, spring quarter. In that spring quarter, you're applying for internships for the coming fall. And then, basically, after your freshman year, your next 3 years are really 6 months of co-op internship in the fall and the winter. Then you go to school in the spring and the summer. There is no big summer breaks. There is no spring breaks. There is only a 1 week, 2 weeks winter break, but that's about it. So, you know, there is that sacrifice, but at the end of the day, I think a lot of other students around the States are also realizing that that summer that they might have as a break is really a time where people are also struggling to find internships, because at this point with the economic situation, and not just in the States, around the world, is everybody's looking for that edge. And I think that program did provide you with that edge, in that you graduate with a year and a half of experience, already have made connections at multiple employers, and that's something you can speak about immediately in an interview. It just makes you that much more employable. And I'd say the biggest difference is, I think in Bulgaria almost everything is lecture-based. In the States, especially towards my later years at Drexel and all of my classes now as an MBA, there is more of a discussion going on with the professor. It's more of a ongoing workshop rather than, this is what I'll lecture you, this is what you need to cram, and then regurgitate on an exam. It's very interesting, it is very intellectually stimulating, because you're really invested in the material right off the bat, because the discussion is going on in class. You want to chip in, some other people with valuable experience are chipping in. I think it brings much multicolored facets, I would say, of the education, rather than just, oh, I'm the professor and this is what I'm teaching you. In terms of cultural experiences, the diversity of people here, it's coming from Bulgaria, where 80–90% of the population is Caucasian, and now here in the States you have all different types of both ethnicities and people from different countries. Your intellectual horizon is that much more stretched, in that you're speaking to people from the other end of the world, and you're hearing about their experiences. as well as even they don't have to be from the other end of the world. I think the experiences of people in the States from different ethnic backgrounds are also very different. So that's something that I would have never been exposed to in Bulgaria, and which I think is ultimately that's a life education of itself outside of just the classroom. What I miss about home? No, there is the usual, talk about friends, family. I mean, I think that's one thing that you have to know right off the bat that, well, it's a trade-off and it's a decision you're making. So I don't really want to say that. What I miss the most is actually food. The food back home was great, probably because my mom was cooking it when I was in high school. If I had to cook it, I probably wouldn't miss it. But that's one thing, and that's another big cultural difference that I noticed is in Bulgaria, food was more treated as more like the centerpiece of, let's say, your evening, as everybody cooks dinner together, sits down and enjoys the meal. While I was in school, I was a waiter, a restaurant on campus, and during my co-ops, I also had my full-time job. The co-op was a full-time job, 45 hours a week, so it was tough because then I would work Monday through Friday at my co-op, and then on the weekends I would wait table or even pick up late shifts during the day. I mean, it's, as I said, it boils down again to those finances. People that don't have to do those things, great, they can spend more time pursuing other hobbies. I just didn't have that luxury. Outside of school, I breakdanced at the time. People refuse to believe that now because I'm so fat. But I didn't balloon up until I graduated. Now I'm pursuing other hobbies. So that's one, and it was actually great because I got to meet a lot of people immediately when I arrived. I perused some breakdancing forums beforehand. I found some people from Philadelphia, messaged them, and I met those people within my first week. And it's just another way to find friends. I also played club soccer with some of my friends. I think this is paramount, especially for people coming from abroad, finding these common hobbies where you can meet people through. And it's really great because you're immediately establishing connections. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said, everything I pointed out, especially just one from educational perspective. I mean, when I left Bulgaria, I was 18, a high school student. Now I'm a CPA. I'm getting my master's degree. It's just I know that much more about how the world functions, but also just these daily interactions. I would say I would have never expected, the dichotomy we might have in a society where people were basically judged on their ethnicity or the glass ceiling. Those topics are very foreign to people in Bulgaria. Even when I speak to them nowadays, it's hard to explain to my parents, for example, both the political situation in the States as well as just the social strata that I think exists in this country. So in terms of that, until you actually live this, there is no way for you to actually comprehend that these things might be happening. So now, whenever I go back home in Bulgaria, and let's say if I'm listening to the news, everybody around the world, I think, have basically the same problems. And whether you recognize the patterns, if you can recognize those patterns, I think you can more easily grasp the entirety of the problem, and you can think, oh, okay, this is what they're doing in the States. This is what these people in Bulgaria are doing. I think this is kind of a similar problem. So you can really, I think, benefit from that because you have those comparisons points. Not apart from the finances, it's also really just thinking what you want out of that education. Something that I didn't consider, but as I said, something as simple as where the school is located just dictates so much. It's the whole social situation on campus. It's what you can do outside of it. This is your late teens, early 20s. It's a very important part of a person's development. So really just considering how you see your education. Is it in a small campus up in the mountains pursuing intellectual ventures? Is it downtown hanging out with friends, going to classes? So I think these are important things.